Computer threats. My name is Sergey Novikov. I came here from Moscow. Sorry, couldn't speak to you in Estonian language. Really sorry for this. I'd love to speak Russian, but still no problem for me to speak English, easier to understand each other. I work for, I don't know, almost all my life in Kaspersky Lab. I'm a big fan of this company, more than 11 years. And now I work as a deputy director of global research and analysis team, which is, again, just to introduce, like 35 experts in 16 different countries, like high-profile experts who are looking to high-profile attacks like Stuxnet, Duku, Flame, targeted attacks, how do they work, and who are looking for trends, where are we going, and so on and so forth, talking to media, making presentations. So this is the team I'm managing. That's it for the introduction. If, again, any questions, just raise your hand, interrupt me. I'd love to make this presentation as a conversation, not as a simple speech. Agree? Can you hear me well? Fantastic. So, concerning the current structure, current pyramid, as we call it, of threats in 2013, 2014, current situation. So 3 big layers, and of course at the bottom, this is a simple cybercrime, which is again still very popular. I don't know, 90% of all the threats, 85, 90% of all threats is about simple cybercrime. When I'm talking about simple cybercrime, it is about stealing money from simple home users, even businesses as well, but this is about more or less money and stealing information from users, accounts from social networks, bank accounts, making DDoS attacks, sending spam, botnets, whatever. So still, the number of this kind of malware is 85, 90%. This is the biggest situation. Then the second layer is, which is definitely a trend, and we will talk a lot about this today. It's about cyber espionage campaigns, targeted attacks, APT attacks. So some kind of a corporate cyber espionage attacks one companies to another. Why do they do this? What are the instruments for this, and so on and so forth. This is about 10 to 14, 13, 15% of all the threats we're seeing today. And at the top of the iceberg is states versus states, government versus government. First of all, I'm talking about attacks on critical infrastructure. And again, the best example, well-known example, is Stuxnet and some similar malware as Stuxnet. So this is still maximum 1-2% what we see today. This kind of high-level, high-profile attacks one government to another. In terms of the big numbers, just at the beginning to show you some big picture and statistics, today Kaspersky Lab detects, analyzed 350,000 unique malware samples every day, which is a huge number, which is about, again, 3 unique malware samples per second. 3 unique malware samples per second. And again, of course, 99.5% of all these samples processed automatically. So we have a lot of internal infrastructure and internal utilities which are analyze this huge incoming stream of suspicious objects in an automatic manner, whether it's infected or not, what kind of malware it is, and so on and so forth. But still, the number it's like an exponential progression. The number is hugely increasing year after year. Concerning the internet, of course, the internet definitely is still the main source of malware targeting users. And again, the big numbers, almost to 2 billion of internet-based, browser-based attacks were discovered by Kaspersky Lab only in 2013. And again, this number is year by year increasing. Concerning the geography of these attacks, geography of internet threat level, the countries which are red, not in good situation, countries which are green, a little bit better. But still, the average global internet threat level grew by almost 7% points in 2013. Approximate number of globally, 40% of users computers subjected to attacks at least once in 2013. And again, historically speaking, like some spots which are green here in Africa, it's only because low internet penetration level in this region. And again, historically, I don't know, last 5, 6, 7 years, in top 5, in top 10, always Russia, different CIS countries like Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan. And I think you're interested to hear anything about Estonia, and Estonia comparing to other Baltic countries and to other Eastern European countries is always a little bit better in terms of internet threats, in terms of cybercrime, or even, of course, targeted attacks. First reason, definitely, and it's not a secret, your CERT, Security Emergency Response Team in your country, is fantastic. That's like one of the best CERT we are working with. We are working with a lot of CERTs in different regions, in Eastern Europe, in Middle East, and Latin America, and your CERT guys are one of the best. And it's again one of the reasons that you are a little bit in a more comfortable area than, for example, other Eastern European countries. Sure.
What's going on in Finland?
What's going on in Finland? That's an interesting question. Again, I told you about the most red countries like Russia and CIS countries, but also what about the most green countries like Finland or Norway or Japan? Japan historically, again, for 10 years analysis, Japan is the best spot. Like this is the most comfortable place in terms of internet threats. The same about Finland and Norway. Like this is, in our opinion, a lot of journalists ask us these questions. It's based on culture of using internet things and web pages, watching some inappropriate content. It's about, again, using pirated versions of software. Using, again, I will have a slide about Windows XP. We will definitely discuss it as well. So, like countries like Finland, for example, and of course, best example here is Japan, because on a historical basis, they're like always in the top best, like greenest, the most green parts of the world. So Finland is quite close to this place as well. If any questions, just again, raise your hand and interrupt me, please. Then what about the threats? How do they propagate to your computers, to our computers, to, again, nevertheless, home users or corporates? It's two or three factors. So I can call you three factors, but let's say three factors. One of them is organizational factor. Again, lack of resources, lack of information, lack of responsibility of our IT administrators, and so on and so forth. Second factor is human factor. Human factor. And again, we will discuss it a little bit later, but still, when I'm talking about the human factor of such crazy amount of malware, I mean, who is the weakest link? Employees. Employees inside your organizations. Who will be the first under attack? Top managers, because they have a lot of sensitive information. Second, non-technical people, marketing, sales, I don't know, finance people, because they also have a lot of sensitive information and they do not care about security. And when I'm talking about this human factor, it's always any kind, like not any, but many targeted attacks, they work together like human and technical factor. They need to propagate inside, send email, send a link in the instant message or whatever to get inside your network, inside your infrastructure. And of course, the last factor, maybe the most important, and it's not a secret, it's about technical factor, it's vulnerabilities, exploits. This is the main vector. How do they get inside our infrastructure is exploits. And in terms of the numbers in 2013, the numbers we detect in Kaspersky Security Network, Oracle Java is like the top. This is the weakest software which we all have in almost all our computers. And again, historically speaking, we always complained about Microsoft with XP. But after XP, with Windows 7 or Windows 8, they do much better in terms of patching their vulnerabilities. And again, the number of vulnerabilities is much low than it was before. Then, I don't know, 2 years ago, we complained a lot about Adobe. And Adobe was the #1 in terms of vulnerabilities. But 2013 and definitely 2014 is about Oracle Java. No updates, no regular updates, and a lot of zero-day vulnerabilities, which again, cybercriminals are using a lot. And then about Windows XP. Yesterday was a good day. Congratulations. I am pretty sure you already thought about this. I don't know. Who is using Windows XP at your home or inside your organization? Oh, wow, wow. A quarter, like on the slide. At least a quarter of people. That's true statistics. Like these numbers we got from Kaspersky Security Network, our cloud infrastructure. So based on these numbers, still a quarter of our users are having Windows XP. What's going on? It is, I don't know, how many years? 12, 13 years old operation system. What's the reason you're using it? No resources? It works. Fantastic. I like it. I like it. It works. Good. But what will you do now when it is not supported anymore? My congratulations. Again, I like this answer, but still, everybody understands that if they already stopped to support it, which means no more updates. So all the vulnerabilities become zero-day. And there are a lot of vulnerabilities. And the cybercriminals, let's call them bad guys, they understand that. And they know about this 25% of people who are still using it. And they definitely will start to attack this operation system more and more. So just be prepared. And again, just 2 simple advices. First, of course, upgrade. I do understand that it's not easy. It depends on investments, resources, hardware, software. But still, think about upgrading your hardware and software. Second, if you don't want to do this, if you still think that it works, and you still want to use Windows XP, use reliable security solution. Reliable, not free security solution because it doesn't help you anyhow, but good. Of course, Kaspersky is a good example, but again, not only our vendors our competitors, are also not that bad. When I'm talking about reliable solution, I mean the technologies we are using, advanced exploit prevention, heuristic detection, proactive detection, which again will minimize the risks of being infected even on Windows XP. Concerning the top stories of 2013, I like this slide, I like this picture, but still my question to you guys, what do you think a top story in terms of security issues in 2013? What was the top story? Snowden, NSA, fantastic. What else? Snowden and NSA, definitely, I totally agree with you. I will not have slides about this because it's too difficult to make comments about this. But still, I have a position. We have a position about this, and we'll discuss it a little bit. And this is maybe exactly the top story of 2013. But what else? What brings you to mind? Comes to your mind? Yes, agree. But still, let's discuss some of the things. First, cyber espionage campaigns. As we discussed, the pyramid, the second and top layer, in our opinion, this is the most interesting now, and this is like a trend when, again, cyber criminals or bad guys, they're changing their focus from simple cybercrime, from simple attacking home users, because it's not that interesting for them anymore to attack organizations, government institutions, companies, small and medium business, and so on and so forth. So in terms of 2013, during only this year, we found up to 1,800 victim organizations, which were targeted by these APT campaigns. The majority of these campaigns were designed to steal data from government and research institutions. The most widespread campaign of the year was Net Traveler, victims in 14 different countries. And this is, again, nice interesting story in my opinion. First, everything was started with this, let's call it US-based attacks, like Stuxnet, Flame, Gauss, and Duku, which were discovered 2010, 2011. And they were region-specific. All the victims were only in one region, Middle East, several countries, Iran, Sudan, Iraq, just a few countries in that region. But then the next was Red October, and I have this slide, I think, yes. Recent APT attacks, the most famous one. Starting with the Red October, which we found in the beginning of 2013, it was Russian-speaking based attack with obvious attribution. It was really widespread. So the number of victims of Red October, like again, more than 30 countries around the world, and high-profile victims and targets. But then after Red October were Chinese, and China today is like a really hot spot for this APT campaigns. Like Net Traveler and Dice Fog, it is Chinese origin attacks. And with the Net Traveler, again, as I showed you the map on the previous slide, the number of victims is really huge. Even North America, Canada, a lot of countries in Eastern Europe, Middle East, of course, Australia and Russia. The biggest number of victims are inside Russia, if I'm not mistaken. Ice Fog is a very interesting story because it was really very good. I will say a few words later about this as well. It was really targeted, and the victims were only, it was Chinese-based attack. The victims were only in South Korea and Japan. And the most interesting story here is Kim Suki, a very good example of high-profile APT campaign, which were like originally created in North Korea. North Korea, can you imagine? And the victims were only in the South Korea. Very good government-sponsored example. But last but not least, just a hot example, which we discovered and announced at the beginning of 2014 in February, the Carreto, the mask attack, and the first time in the history we found Spanish-speaking attack. It's really difficult to make any kind of attribution, but we definitely can say that it's Spanish-based. It can be Spain or Portugal or Brazil or Argentina, whatever, but again, there are some evidences that it became from Spain. In our opinion, again, based on our experience and our expertise of analyzing such attacks, this is the most sophisticated threat, the most difficult in terms of, again, a lot of modules. They have module for Windows, Linux, OS 6, even on Android, and the most interesting thing that they have modules for iOS, iPads and iPhones for the first time. And another important thing is that it is all encrypted. They have rootkits and bootkits. It's really, really high-profile attack. And the main targets, as always, in such cases are in governments, diplomatic institutions, energy, oil and gas companies, research institutions, private equity companies, and independent activists. The name mask comes from the Spanish slang word carreto that the authors included in some of the malware modules. And it was active from every time what happened with such attacks. They were active for many years. For example, with the Max, it was actual from 2007, and nobody was detected it and analyzed it before. So for, I don't know, 7 years, it was undetected by anybody. Concerning who is sponsoring all this, government agencies and various states, businesses that turn to cyber criminals to penetrate competitors, which is also important for them, and hacktivists, who is performing outsourced cyber criminal forces, intelligence forces, and hacktivists. What is the main reason? What is the main goal for them? Four main reasons. First, steal money, Still, sometimes it's about money. Not always, just a few cases. For example, NeverQuest, which is again high-profile banking malware, still attacking online transactions and so on and so forth. Second, perform sabotage. It's also not there very often, but still wipe data or block infrastructure operations like Stuxnet, very good example here, or Wiper or Shamoon, which was done for Saudi Aramco, the biggest enterprise worldwide. But more often it's about stealing information like IceFog, Red October, Dooku, and others, and IceFog, and NetTraveler. So it's about collecting important confidential information, encrypt everything, and again, nobody knows what they will do then with this information. A good example, by the way, was WinNTI. I didn't tell you, but it's quite interesting. WinNTI is another quite a famous example of this targeted attack. Who are the targets of WinNTI? Only companies which are making online games industry in different countries, in Belarus, in Germany, in North America, in United Kingdom. Who was behind it? Chinese. And this is a classical APT. So we did analyze this like in details with several companies in different countries. So it was like a classical. They came once, infect the network, collect the information, encrypt it, send it to like a command and control center server somewhere outside, hide their steps, like delete everything, then just can exactly in a month, same dates in 1 month, they came second time, collect information, clean everything. Exactly in the 2 months, same date, they came third time. So this is how it works. And again, the main reason to steal confidential data. And now in China, they definitely have the same online games as World of Tanks and others. Last but not least, damage a company's reputation, financial losses. Still very famous story was attack on Sony PlayStation network, which was happened in 2011, but still there are more and more such cases on attack on Dropbox or LinkedIn and other quite famous companies, or Adobe, as someone said, or Google, and so on and so forth, to damage a company reputation. This is the four main reasons and goals. What about the trends? As I already told you, we call it cyber mercenaries. Very interesting in my opinion. An emerging trend number one, use remote access technologies for manual analysis of the data stored in corporate networks, follow the orders of anyone who pays them, conduct hit and run attacks with attackers spending as little as few hours in the victim's network. And the good example again, IceFog here. With IceFog operation, they definitely knew before, in advance, whom to attack, which organizations, which people, which exact employees inside those organizations. And they prepared in advance, they did this attack, they were in the network for just a couple of hours, sometimes even minutes, steal information, clean everything. And we call it this cyber mercenaries because it's now, in our opinion, one of the trends that any kind of government, state-sponsored people, they can just use this cyber bad guys to implement such attacks. And trend number two, attacks on contractors. Not being able to reach big organizations, cybercriminals get their weak points. So it's not a secret that to attack on some kind of a government organization or big enterprise is much more difficult than to attack the small company. So the trend is, the tactic says, they start to infect the small, even maybe home office with 10 computers to get access to their emails or whatever. And then from these small companies, they're starting to attack big organizations. Concerning another trend, that was almost all about the cyber espionage, but still mobiles. Hackers set sites on the mobiles. And they use it in the targeted attacks as well. As I told you, Red October, first example, but then NetTraveler, and of course the Musk, the Coretta, the latest one. And the number of new mobile samples we discovered in Kaspersky Lab is also hugely increasing, almost the same way as simple malware, as I told you at the beginning. Concerning what can mobile malware do to you, almost the same. Our mobiles, tablets, smartphones are quite similar to our computers, right? So they can do almost the same they do with the laptops and desktops. Steal money, spy on personal information, send text messages containing malicious links to every contact on your device, which is again like a social engineering effect. perform mass spam mailouts, perform DDoS attacks, even organize botnets on mobile infrastructure, and attack PCs via an Android device. Concerning the numbers, of course, the hotspot here is Android, with 98, almost 99% of mobile malware on it. Open platform, quite popular. The number of Android users now, if I'm not mistaken, is higher than Apple users. And just a few percent for Java, for Symbian, and just like a small percentage for others, platforms like BlackBerry. Just a few in the wild malware for BlackBerry. So what's next? What is the trend? First, future of mobile threats. Ransomware and crypto lockers as for simple consumers, because we see it on the PCs and we have never ever seen it before on mobiles. So definitely this year there will be more and more ransomware when they start to, two ways. One way is to just block access to your operation system and ask you to pay them money. Second, they encrypt all the data. You can't access it anymore, but there is still a message. If you want to decrypt it back, pay us money to our account. This is how it works on PCs, and we definitely we will see it on mobiles as well. Android will be the main target, of course. Mobile phishing, banking trojans, more and more banking trojans for mobiles, and a lot of vulnerabilities in Android operation system. Concerning Bitcoins, will Bitcoin collapse in 2014? I'm not sure. But still, this is a hotspot, and cybercriminals, they're starting to attack more and more these cryptocurrencies. And attacks on Bitcoin pools, attacks on stock exchanges, attacks on wallets of Bitcoin users. Then concerning privacy, Snowden and NSA, which is again the very, very hot, interesting news today. The popularity of web services like sophisticated protection measures will happen this year. And in terms of end users, there will be more and more VPN services, more and more Tor anonymizers, and the popularity of Tor network will be also increasing, and local encryption tools. Interesting. I think, again, we can argue about this, but still, possible fragmentation of the internet. And based on the news after Snowden and after some political situation in Germany, in Brazil, governments, you've heard the story about Angela Merkel, and definitely, and maybe you've heard something from Brazil in terms of the president of Brazil. She decided to change the channel of internet. Now Brazilian people, all Latin American people, they got internet from the US. The main channel goes from the US. Now they don't want to do this anymore. They want to do it through Atlantic Ocean from Europe. So all this news, all this buzz after Snowden tells us that, again, there are best example, well-known example is China with Chinese firewall. In Russia, there are a lot of talks on the government level to close the access to foreign sites and foreign US services. So there are more and more talks in this area, and that can definitely this year or next year we will see a little bit another Internet of Things and the things which we can do in the Internet, in our opinion again. Concerning the cyber pyramid, the things which we started on, the second layer will be will grow, significant growth in the number of threats related to economic and domestic cyber espionage. So definitely this layer of cybercrime, it will be more or less the same, maybe decreasing, but this cyber espionage things, this APT attacks will be definitely increasing. So we will see more and more such attacks as Musk or NetTraveler or IceFog with attacks on, again, different kind of businesses. And when I called my presentation, everybody is under attack, I mean that, again, they're interested in any sensitive information, any. Again, even if your company is successful and you have something to steal from you, they will sooner or later come and try to steal it. What about the other trends I didn't show you in the slides? Cloud also, everybody's talking cloud. But again, first, after Snowden, the level of trust to well-known cloud providers is not on the same level. Second, cybercriminals as well, again, and there are a lot of stories with, again, attacks on Amazon or Dropbox or Google. It's much more easier for cybercriminals to attack once to one big cloud provider to steal millions, tons of information at once than to attack different organizations, different home users or whatever. It's much more efficient and sometimes even easier. So again, nothing bad about the cloud, but who cares about security in the cloud? Who cares about protection? And what we want to say here, what I want to say here is that, again, think what you can provide to the cloud, what you cannot. Think about who is responsible for this information in the cloud, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of questions. Security is quite a sensitive thing. How to protect yourself. How to protect at the end of my presentation. Just 3 simple advices, 3 simple solutions. First, education. Again, as I already told you, who is the weakest link? Employees. Employees. Try to again, minimize this risk. Trainings, policies, what they can do, what they can't do. How to, we have, at least we did it before several times. We did it inside Kaspersky Lab because we think that we can be a target of these APT campaigns as well. We did a training how to protect against targeted attack. How to identify that this can be a targeted attack. Establish processes, I mean, again, segmentation of your network, implementing policies, restricting rules. Keep understanding that in this area of APT campaigns that everybody is spying on each other, be prepared for such attacks. Like a little bit more paranoid than you were before. That's what I wanted to tell you. Implement technologies, of course, reliable, up-to-date, good, not just, again, simple antivirus is not enough. Use a bundle, use the latest technologies, which, again, I can show you on the next slide. I don't understand what is written here. I can't read Estonian language, but my colleagues from here asked me to put it here. So this is something about our stand and about our booths outside. Something. Great. So that's important. Please do it if you're interested in talking to Kaspersky experts. Concerning technologies, again, why it's a very psychological, like philosophical question. Who is winning the war? Who is in front? Cybercriminals, these bad guys, or antivirus companies? Again, in my opinion, like even 5 years ago or 7 years ago, I can easily say that they are one step in front of us, definitely, and we're trying to catch. We're trying to give signatures because it was more or less signature-based antivirus. That's it. Today, I can proudly say that no, we are not winning, but it's a draw. It's like we are competing on a daily basis. And again, because of these unique technologies, cloud-based technologies, exploit prevention, patch management, vulnerabilities assessment. So every unique technology, modern technologies that we have inside our solution, like Kaspersky Endpoint for Business. And of course, education. So the last slide from my presentation, the basic equation for staying secured, simple mathematics for advanced protection. IT security investments increase linearly, which is not a secret, while the cost of damage drops exponentially. And again, I think that it's not a secret, it's just a simple message I want to finalize my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And I still have 5-10 minutes. I'm ready for questions. And I, by the way, have some gifts for the most interesting questions. Yes, ladies first. Ladies first.
Also, thank you for the presentation. My question, you have covered events since 2010. I would like to ask about 2007, 2008, cyber attacks against Estonia and Russia, about sources and about the sophistication of attacks, malware.
And the question is how...
About sources
okay.
and malware sophistication.
Okay. The question is, just to briefly repeat it, it was about the stories from 2007, about DDoS attacks from Russia to Estonia, what are the sources, how difficult was it, and so on and so forth, right? More or less. Did I get it right? Nothing about politics. Again, sorry for this. And again, thank you for your question, but maybe we can discuss more interesting topics. I will try to answer. It's just a DDoS attack. What is sophisticated here? Nothing. Who stands behind it? No comments. But it was just a DDoS attack. It's not about spying. It's not about stealing information. It's not a secret that inside the Russian Federation and, by the way, other CIS countries, there are the biggest number of botnets. All the biggest, even millions of infected users, millions botnets are inside Russia. So it's just a DDoS attack. And thank you for your question. Any other questions? Yes, yes, two.
Currently, you have software for Android, for smartphones, but the biggest threat I'm currently seeing is the smart TVs. They have microphones, they have cameras, they have network connections, and I have a Samsung TV at home. And I looked at it, will send information about my files and stuff to the Samsung. And I asked them, what are you doing with it? With this info, they said, nothing. I said, are you sure? No comments. So what about those? Because some of them, they have the TVs with offices, everything. You can record, you can whatever.
My small gift is an umbrella. I like this question. Thank you very much. This is to you. Thank you for this question. Several things. First, as you're absolutely right. You're definitely right that it can be like really, really dangerous. And I know that Samsung guys are somewhere here, and we can come to them and talk to them. What do they think about this? But still, as we don't see any kind of real malware, real attacks on these smart TVs, we don't see them. I know. There are a lot of smart TVs, not only Samsung, which runs Google Android. That's true. But still, real attacks, not about smartphones, but about smart TVs, which attacks exactly smart TVs. We don't see it at the moment. If you want to try our solution for Android for a smart TV, I'm not sure it will work, but again, we can test it together.
Because 3 months ago or something, you were able to use this, let's say, multi-functions in your local area. You need internet connection. But after the upgrade, now it needs internet connection.
I know.
So you can't use it locally anymore.
I know. The question here, I can rephrase your question to why don't we see any threats for smart TVs at the moment? Why is it so? There are more or less about the money. Agree? So we sometimes can give our banking information to smart TV, Sony, PlayStation, or whatever. It is about our sensitive information, what the channels we are looking for, and so on and so forth. So any kind of this telecommunication companies can be interested in this. But at the same time, we don't see any threats, any real kind of malware. What's the reason? First, again, the infrastructure, the architecture is not unique. Every manufacturer uses different kind of architecture. Some on Google Android, some are their own operation system. So it's not like a unique based architecture. Second, in our opinion, cybercriminals, they don't understand at the moment what to do with this kind of devices, with this kind of information. If they know what to do with your smartphone and what they can steal from it, at the moment, today, they don't know what to do with this smart TV or Internet of Things devices. And again, answering your question, we at Kaspersky Lab, we are looking to it as well. And we understand that it will be, it's not in our trends, it's not about our forecasts, but still we are waiting that sooner or later cybercriminals will attack these devices as well. and it can be, as you said, can be dangerous. I agree with you completely. Yes, next.
You mentioned
Microphone.
wrong channels problem. You mentioned state versus state. So, what are the biggest players, by your opinion? Is it Chinese, Russians, Americans? Or
Just to repeat the question, I mentioned state versus state and government-sponsored attacks. Who are hotspots, all right?
Yes.
Who is in the top? I already mentioned it a little bit, and thank you for your question. Starting from the US, and again, we started Stuxnet, Flame, Gauss, Dooku with this big announcement. It was definitely US and Israel. And Mr. Barack Obama already, like publicly, said, we did it. So it's not about attribution, but I'll always make any kind of attribution very difficult. Then, in our opinion, the next top player is China, definitely. China is today even number one, because the number of APT campaigns coming from China, Net Traveler and Icefog and Win and TI is just the first well-known, but there are, believe me, a lot of more which are undiscovered yet. Let's say not definitely Russia, but Russian-speaking APT campaigns are also, like example is here Red October, which is well known. And again, I can't share with you any other examples at the moment. There are different APT campaigns comes from Russian-speaking countries. And number 4 is this Musk. It's a really, really big campaign. 30 countries were targeted, about 500 victims. First countries who were targeted by them, Morocco, Brazil, and United Kingdom. This is the 3 hotspots. And again, it was Spanish-speaking origin. So answering your question, China, US, Russian-based something, Spanish-based something.
And the second part of the question.
Sure.
Who is detecting first? If it's Chinese, Russian, or US?
You want to play politic games, but I will try to answer. It's interesting, I think. With Stuxnet, for example, which was like the biggest news, which changed the industry completely. Completely agree with me. After Stuxnet, we all think about security a little bit different way. Stuxnet was discovered first by Belarusian antivirus company called Blockada. And then Symantec, Microsoft, and Kaspersky people, they jumped on it and analyzed it like very deeply, and we published a huge report about this attack. And to be honest, we hired this guy from Belarus who found it. So they were first. Concerning Dooku, the second APT example, Dooku first was found by Hungarian experts. And again, after they found it, we jumped on it. With Flame, we were the first. And this is like our proud, because our experts, it was big success of our company, that with this really high profile attack, we were the first who found it. Then again, there are big players in the market with this anti-APT research or even products. And it's not a secret where I'm talking about CrowdStrike, Mandiant, FireEye. This is like the new players on this anti-APT. And plus Kaspersky Lab. And let me say, we're all, CrowdStrike, Mandiant, and FireEye, they are more or less US-based companies. And let me say that we are all, plus Symantec, in the top of finding these new campaigns. With the mask, we were the first. With some of Chinese-based attacks, US companies were the first. So it's tricky to say who is now the first to find out such attacks. Because again, let me say the truth that when we discovered these attacks, we firstly come to victims and tell them that, look what happens to you, what happened to you. And again, it's difficult to say who was the first, because we are not immediately push this to public, to media, making articles. We are now, it's a little bit different strategy. We inform the victims, analyze it deeply, maybe distributed to different law enforcements and different governments in different countries. And only, I don't know, in several months we go with this to public.
My question is, what do you think is more dangerous? The malware that is following our mobile devices, their computers, or the network devices that are basically untouched for well, if the person buys the router, then it stays there on the shelf for 5 years or as long as it's working.
Actually,
What is the biggest problem?
I actually had the same question that one spot that has been overlooked for years, as far as I know, has been networking equipment, because all of the data that computers create are mostly traveling through networking devices which are old, most often unpatched, without updated firmware, and the data traveling through it is mostly unencrypted. So are there any developments in that field as well?
Guys, thank you both for this question. I think it's quite important. First comment here, maybe some of you have seen the news we published, again, close to the mosque, almost same time. We called it Absolute Backdoor or something. There is a United States company called Absolute Software, which installed their software on a lot of laptops, not only laptops, but several desktops as well. But laptops, Dell, Sony, Samsung, a lot of manufacturers have their software inside. What does it do? This Absolute software, it's about anti-thief software. If you lose your laptop or someone steals it from you, you can contact these guys and try to block the access to this. But the secret is, this Absolute software is absolutely, like, payload of it is absolutely the same as backdoor. Nobody knows who activates this software on your laptop first. Nobody knows what this software exactly does on your laptops. And this is really scary. I can share with you, like, in private discussion, more details, and also point you to securelist.com. Securelist. There's no, but maybe you've seen our research with a lot of our researches and publications. Securelist.com. There are like a big technical article about this Absolute software. So this is, again, after this NSA buzz, this Absolute software is also a big buzz, and this is really scary. Answering your guys' questions about the routers, and we also do research, and also it is published on our securelist.com. We analyze different routers from China, from Russian Federation, with undocumented vulnerabilities and inside them. And there is also, like, this is a big gap in terms of protection of these devices, and people, they don't know what to do, what is undocumented, on these devices as well. So the problem here is a lot of such things, like Cisco now complains a lot of such hardware developed in China, and who knows what they implement inside it. And there is also, like, after NSA buzz, maybe this is the second big spot on undocumented.
Chip layer.
Yes, exactly. What to add here? We have a research. I can share with you the link on this. How we can protect it. Kaspersky Club is not responsible here. It's almost impossible to protect such devices on our level. But again, this is a responsibility of IT administrators and IT people inside your organization. Thank you for your question. Do we have time for two questions? One last question. Yes, and again, I will be available afterwards. You can ask me here or at our Kaspersky stand in the hall.
I have a question, not so much political side, but regarding Ukraine situations.
Sure. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, there was a report saying that 80% of all of the computers were infected with like malware and special applications for managing the data on those computers and by the government, so said. So is there a possibility that the virus and the virus management companies and the for example, Kaspersky as well, would go against the governments and their controls?
Fantastic. It's very good to finalize our discussion. Thank you for this question. What is the mission? What is the mission of Kaspersky Lab, for example, and I hope for any other vendors in this industry as well? The main mission is we do not, that's important, we do not, let me say the right word here, we do not have any agreements with any governments. Our main mission is to protect our customers all around the world, nevertheless in Iran or in the United States, in Israel or in Palestine, in Ukraine or in Russia, in Estonia or I don't know, in Latvia, whatever. So this is the main idea. Our main mission is to protect our customers. And I want to say the following. For example, with Stuxnet or Flame or Gauss, with Flame, we were the first who discovered it and put it to public and put it to media and made a lot of buzz with this. It was definitely 100% government-sponsored attack. And which means, again, government paid money for it, which means that people pay taxes to sponsor such attacks. And some Kaspersky guys, or I don't know, Symantec guys, they discovered this campaign and put it to media to stop this campaign. Which means our main idea is to protect end customers, not to protect governments. With, for example, well-known news about Bundestrojan. Have you heard something about Bundestrojan? Like German government created special software which spied on several people inside their country. Kaspersky Lab detects this kind of malware. We detect it. And I don't know whether it answers your question or not, but in terms of Ukraine, we haven't seen this 80% of infected computers. We don't see them. In my opinion, it's just rumors that government infect 80% of their population. I don't know. Anyway, thank you everybody. Thank you for coming. I hope it was interesting. If you still have